Are you familiar with pneumatic power tools and equipment, like an impact wrench? I wonder how many of you have looked up the word pneuma on Google since this song came out. Google says that the song is, or that the word pneuma is Greek for that which is breathed or blown. And he says spirit a lot in the lyrics of this song. It also says that Stoic philosophers thought that pneuma, the Greek word, was the vital spirit, soul, or creative force of a person. Are you familiar with the Stoics' philosophy? Stoics are supposed to be people who could endure pain and hardship without showing their feelings or complaining. I wish there were more Stoics these days. So Tool came out with a new album, and now it's being listened to by a new generation who may or may not have ever heard them before. They're such great musicians. I've been listening to them for a long time, and I suppose I wanted to make this video to talk a little bit about their philosophy and philosophy in general. So the lyrics of this song, he says the word spirit a whole bunch of times, and he's implying that we are bound to this flesh, and since pneuma is the thought, the breath which is breathed or blown, and it's thought that it's the vital spirit, the creative force of a person. You know, he's compelling us to wake up and release the light. And he says that this mask, this guise, is this dream. We must wake up to remember we are born of one breath, one word. We are all one spark, sun becoming, but he spells it sun, S-U-N, like our star in the solar system. You keep in mind that the soul animates the body and how the music moves us. There are two parts of the soul. The soul of the outer man is the part of the soul that is all about sensation. The outer man is the part of the soul that sees, smells, tastes, touch, and hear. The inner man is the part of the soul that's intellectual, when the mind is in accordance with truth. But is a man thinking straight when they're on drugs and alcohol? No. Can a man be in spirit and truth when he's on drugs and alcohol? No. Is this song beautiful? Probably. Some philosophers believe beauty is a transcendental, but beauty is subjective. You've heard beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Obviously, beauty is also in the ear of the beholder. Keep in mind, y'all, that beauty is another name for God, and that pagans and monotheists both worship music. Beauty is another name for God, and God has a striking force upon the soul. It acts, beauty and God act upon us, not only in the eye or the ear, but in the intellect, in the celebration of the integrity of body and soul. So, I talked a little bit in my other video about pneuma, but I didn't talk about philosophy and what it really is. So philosophy is the study of truth. You know, philosophy literally means the love of wisdom, and wisdom is respectfully truth. You know, it is a intimate truth. It's an intimate knowing of something deep within the person, within the soul. And so getting deeper into the highest truth known to man, one would be brought to the thought of God, because he would be the highest truth known to man. But since God reveals himself to us in different ways, through beauty, right, through music, That's one part of the color of the Lord, right? But God is intellectual, an intellectual being, and so he reveals his intellect to us through personal experience. And so I talk about the soul animating the body. So music moves the body naturally, and we dance. But when we're on drugs and alcohol, we're under the influence. And when we don't think straight because we're on drugs and alcohol, we're not intellectually sound. We have clouded thoughts, and in order to worship God in spirit and truth, we have to be sober. So you can, if the music moves you and you're not on drugs and alcohol, then you can see how that's a pure movement. But if the music doesn't move you and you need drugs and alcohol for it to move you, then it isn't beautiful, because it isn't totally truthful. It's somewhat artificial. And I talk about the two parts of the soul. So the inner man is the part of the soul that's intellectual when the mind is in accordance with truth. So if I'm at a concert and I'm on drugs and alcohol and I'm having this experience, it's a sensual experience. It's a gigantic experience. But unless it's pure, then it's not in truth. So we can experience things with our outer self, with the outer man, through sensory experience. And it's not always truthful, because our body also lies to us, we're also ignorant, and we have the psychology of man is involved. So the most pure revelation of God to man is in Christianity. And you can find God in nature, you can find God in beauty and art, you can find God in the worship of Him, God, being in music. And that can animate our body, because the soul animates the body. But God is revealed to us in personal ways through the person of Jesus Christ. The philosophy of Tool, he's going to intellectually get us to think about things when he says son becoming, and he talks about being nailed to the cross, or nailed to the, I'm not sure what I don't know exactly the lyrics. One foot nailed down is an obvious reference to Jesus. So that's part of the philosophy of Tool, and he wants us to think about these things, and we would do well to think about them in spirit and truth, and that means purely.